Prime Minister Lê Minh Hưng departs for Asean-Russia summit.
Iran confirms U.S. has begun lifting naval blockade.
Britain supplies enriched uranium to Ukraine.
Hello, so good to see you again in today's news. I'm Hoàng Yên, and here we go, the first step of the show. At the invitation of Russian President Vladimir Putin, Prime Minister Lê Minh Hưng and a high-level Vietnamese delegation just departed Hanoi on June 16 to attend the Asean-Russia commemorative summit, marking the 35th anniversary of dialogue relations and conduct bilateral activities in Kazan, Russia.
Russia cooperation. Helping better meet the development needs of both sides. Prime Minister Lê Minh Hung's participation in the summit underscores Vietnam's role as a bridge between ASEAN and Russia. Promoting consensus, contributing practical initiatives and generating fresh momentum for the ASEAN-Russia partnership.
Iranian media on June 16 reported that U.S. forces had started dismantling the naval blockade on Iranian ports, which had been in place since mid-April.
3 Iranian oil tankers and 2 cargo vessels crossed the blockade zone and entered Iranian waters on the morning of June 16. According to Iranian media, Tehran described the move as a tangible step toward implementing the provisional agreement recently reached between the United States and Iran. On the same day, U.S. President Donald Trump said maritime traffic through the Strait of Hormuz had been partially restored and was expected to return to normal by June 19. When Washington and Tehran are expected to formally sign a framework memorandum. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the world's most critical energy shipping routes, handling a significant share of oil and gas exports from the Gulf region to global markets. Any disruption to traffic through the waterway can have a major impact on energy prices and international supply chains.
The British government announced that it would supply enriched uranium to Ukraine's state-owned nuclear energy company Enagothem under a deal worth approximately $280 million, aimed at supporting the country's power system and strengthening its energy security.
According to the British government, funding from UK Export Finance, UKEF, will enable uranium enrichment company Urenco to supply enriched uranium to Ukraine's state-owned nuclear operator Enagothem over the next 2 years. Enagothem currently generates more than half of Ukraine's electricity, making a secure supply of nuclear fuel critical to the country's energy security, particularly as its power infrastructure has come under repeated attacks in recent months. Speaking on the sidelines of the G7 summit in France, Prime Minister Keir Starmer said Britain would continue supporting Ukraine for as long as it takes, adding that the new package would help ensure the operation of the country's nuclear power plants in the years ahead.
Upcoming are some updated news.
Vietnam has reaffirmed its active role in promoting international cooperation on ocean governance by participating in the 35th meeting of states parties to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, SPLOS 35. Scheduled to take place from June 23 to 27 at United Nations headquarters in New York. According to Ambassador Du Hung Viet, as the world faces growing challenges including climate change, marine biodiversity loss, environmental pollution and maritime security threats, closer coordination among states and institutions established under UNCLOS is of particular importance. Vietnam remains committed to contributing actively to international efforts to protect and sustainably use marine resources, while promoting effective ocean governance based on international law, the ambassador said.
Nagaean authorities on June 16 reviewed revisions to the province's 2021 to 2030 master plan, with a vision to 2050, to align with new national and local development priorities and ensure consistency with the national planning framework. Under the revised plan, Nagaean aims to become a key growth driver of Vietnam's north-central region through a development model featuring one main growth hub, 2 growth poles, 3 socio-economic zones, 4 development pillars, 5 economic corridors and 6 urban centers. The province will prioritize the development of its marine economy, centered on the Southeast Economic Zone, seaport and logistics infrastructure, and coastal urban areas. By 2030, the coastal region is expected to contribute 57 to 60% of Nagaean's gross regional domestic product, GRDP.
The Ministry of Health has issued Circular 16/2026 regulating free drug support programs at healthcare facilities, which will take effect on July 10. Under the new rules, medicines provided through support programs must be supplied entirely free of charge and must not be tied to commercial conditions or influence decisions on drug selection or treatment methods. The circular requires all medicines used in such programs to be legally approved for use in Vietnam and prescribed in accordance with professional guidelines. Healthcare facilities must publicly disclose program information, ensure fair and transparent distribution, and provide patients with adequate counseling before enrollment. Notably, Vietnam's health insurance fund will not reimburse medicines already provided free of charge under support programs, a measure aimed at preventing duplicate payments and ensuring transparency in the use of insurance funds.
Nghệ An is stepping up efforts to resolve site clearance issues for Vinh-Thanh Thuy Expressway, aiming to keep the project on schedule. Authorities target completing the handover of all agricultural, residential, and garden land along the route by the end of June. You can find more information in the story today.
The expressway runs for more than 7.1 kilometers through Dai Hue commune, requiring the acquisition of over 50 hectares of agricultural land, including 17 farms. Despite concerns over compensation policies, local residents and authorities completed compensation procedures for agricultural land by June 5.
We are only compensated for the assets on the land, while the investment and effort we put into developing it are not covered. We are not entirely satisfied, but this is a state project, so our family has no objection to the policy.
In general, local residents support the compensation policy, although we believe some items still lack a legal basis for support. If more flexible mechanisms are introduced in the future, the Compensation Council will continue reviewing and providing additional support where appropriate.
In Nam Dan commune, compensation payments for agricultural and forestry land had been completed for more than 550 households by June 8. Authorities also focused on resolving long-standing land disputes that had become obstacles to site clearance.
Many land plots had been left unused or were being used by others, so the registered owners were not fully aware of their current status. Once the project began and compensation policies were announced, a number of disputes and competing claims over land use rights emerged. Following multiple rounds of public outreach and dialogue, we have largely reached consensus among the affected parties.
Agricultural land acquisition for construction package number 1 has now been completed in Hung Nguyen, Kim Lien, Dai Hue, Van An and Nam Dan communes. The remaining localities are required to finish the process by June 30. The same deadline applies to 9 localities along the route for completing land inventories, assessments and compensation plans for residential and garden land, paving the way for full-scale construction of the Vinh-Thanh Thuy Expressway.
The last story to send it our news today. Thank you so much for your attention. Goodbye for now.